Hello my gorgeous love bugs out there, and welcome. In today's video I am going to talk about my top 3 favorite palettes in every palette category. I was inspired to do this video by Angelica Nikovis. I've been meaning to do this a while, and then I did also add some additional categories to this. But before we get into this video, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Bree and I'm just a crazy lover of all things beauty, and I like to post a lot of fun colorful makeup content, especially about palettes. So if those are things that you like to watch, please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. But with that being said, let's get into this video. I'm so happy to finally be filming this video. It was kind of on the back burner because I was doing like a lot of reviews and other stuff, but I finally had the time to film this, and I was inspired to do this by Angelica Nikovis, who did this a while ago, sometime at the end of last year. And she did her videos in like separate segments because I think the original video was like your top 3 in every makeup category. She split them up and did like top 3 categories for just eyeshadow palettes, then like other like products like face products, eye products, and all that. I would probably do another portion, and I would probably do all the other products in just one video and not split it up like she did. Now I'm not sure who is the original creator for this video, but I will tag the videos that I did watch from other YouTubers that I love and their videos that they did, as well as Angelica, who ultimately inspired this version. Now I did add 3 new categories because I wanted to extend it, and I just love any excuse to talk about more eyeshadow palettes. I will add my 3 additional categories at the end, but let's just dive in because apparently you guys love videos about palettes because those are the videos that do the best on my channel. So the first category is neutral palettes. So of course I could list way more than 3, but I'm trying to stick to the top 3, like the best of the best. So my top 3 for neutral palettes would definitely be the Eternal Eclipse palette from Lunar Beauty. I've talked about this many times. I did a video where I talked about my favorite neutral palettes. I'll link that below. I'll put it up in the corner. And I've raved about this many times and did a review on this, and I love this. This is a very cool toned neutral palette that has a little pop of teal, but overall it's pretty neutral. There are some warm tones, but the quality is amazing in here. And when it comes to neutrals, I prefer cool tones over warm tones any day. I think the quality is amazing. Lunar Beauty is an amazing brand, and I think the packaging, everything was so good about this. So I can't get enough of this palette. I recommend it so much on my channel. Then the next one is this one from Nabla, the Dreamy 2 palette. There is something just so sexy and scrumptious about this palette. This was also in that video of all my favorite neutral palettes, and I think this color story is so bomb, and it's more on like the darker side. Now there are warm tones, but I love the metallics in here. I love like the little add of like the cool tone like purpley taupey shades and the little bit of like berry in here. I just think this is such a beautiful palette. Then the last one, which is a very new palette to me, but I've talked about this a lot on my channel. I did a review on it, and I did some kind of release tag, I think, where I said it was one of those palettes I did not expect to love so much. But this is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Dollhouse palette. This has a little bit of color, but overall it's a very neutral, muted palette, but the quality is stunning. Like, this is beautiful. This is gorgeous. I know I've told you guys many times about this. I'm sure you've seen videos of me talking about this because I was just very impressed by this, and I just love how the setup is. And I was saying like this is going to be one of the palettes I travel with because it's just that good. So this is like definitely a go-to neutral palette for me. So the next category is top 3 colorful palettes, and this was also very hard for me because I have a lot of colorful palettes in my collection because color is what I like to wear on my eyes the most. I like bright, vivid, colorful makeup looks. So I had a lot to choose from, so I had to really narrow it down to the top 3 that I would say are the best, and I think I did a pretty good job at that. But the first one one, which I don't think a lot of you will be surprised by because I've talked about this many times, but this is the Glamlight Ice Cream Dream palette. I don't know how many times I can hammer this in your head that I love this palette, but this is a very, very colorful palette. It has so much colors, pastels, mid-tones, light, colorful shimmers. It also has neutrals in here, and by far this is my favorite palette from Glamlight. Like, I think it performed really well. I've loved it and I've used it many times. And then the next palette, which is a little bit more pricey, but I love it because of the quality. It's so good. But this is the Circle Loco palette from Natasha Denona, and I totally forgot to mention this in a video that I did where I talked about some of my favorite like summer colorful palettes, and I don't know why I didn't mention this, but when I was going through my palettes I was like, how could I forget this? This is so beautiful, so bold. It has a lot of deep, colorful mattes in here. It has a lot of beautiful, colorful shimmers, and the quality is excellent. It has the cream to powder formula in here that I love from Natasha. It has just a good array of stuff. And if you're willing to pay the higher price tag for like a really amazing quality palette, I think this is worth it if you're looking to add color to your collection and you want a really well performing palette, especially the mattes. It's the mattes that stand out the most when it comes to this palette and overall from Natasha Denona. Then the last palette in this little category is this one from Blend Bunny. This is the Surge palette, and the more and more that I've used it, the more and more that I have fallen in love with this one. It is just, the color options in here are perfect. It has every kind of shade you would need to do a colorful look. It has neons, it has pastels, it has mid-tones, it has deep colorful mattes, and then it has colorful shimmers. Like, you could create so many different colorful looks and go all over the place. And I love the setup of Blend Bunny Cosmetics palettes. They're just so easy to like see a look that you can do, and how it's just like split up. It's so user friendly, especially if you're getting new with makeup. This is a really good one if you're just venturing into colors, because this will add like all the colors that you could possibly need in your collection. At least I think so. So this would be another top one for colorful palettes. So then the next category is little mini palettes. And this was pretty hard for me too, because I have a lot of mini palettes, and something about just little palettes have a special place in my heart, especially like for travel. They're perfect companion palettes. So I kept going back and forth and switching them in and out, but I finally decided on 3. I mean, there's a lot of other ones I could add, but the top 3 I would say for sure is this one from Oud Inside. This is the Oud palette, and this is just the most beautiful smoky green palette that you could ever find. Quality is excellent, and I just love these kind of green tones. I feel like they're very unique, especially this shade, which is a kind of smoky green shade that I haven't found in many other palettes. So I would say for sure this is a favorite of mine. I've used it many times, and I've just been happy with how my look always comes out with that. Then the next one is this Nabla palette. This is from the Cutie range. This is the Platinum palette. This is another one I've probably talked about many times. I don't think any other cool tone little neutral palette can ever compare to this, but I know for sure that this had to be in this category because I love it. I rave about it. I've used it many times when I'm thinking about doing a more cool tone neutral look. I think about this one. Like, this is my go-to when I think about a cool tone neutral look. And many times I have told you guys this Luxuriance shade is the best silver metallic I have ever found by far. Like, there is no better silver than this one. And then the other cool tone neutral shades are so sparkly, and then it has these really good quality mattes. So this is one of my most favorite little mini palettes. And then the last one, which I was surprised that I decided to make this my final one, but after thinking about it for a while, I was like, you know what? I would say that this is it. This is the Peridot palette from BH Cosmetics from their like Birthstone series for the month of August. And I was very blown away by this. This is all the kind of colors that I like to use. It has greens and like yellow toned neutral shades to go with it. It's a little grungy. I even love the pressed shimmer in here because it's a limey green shimmer. Can't go wrong with some lime green shimmer in my life. and the quality is really good in here, and I love BH Cosmetics, and hopefully the formula doesn't change since BH Cosmetics has been bought out by Makeup Revolution, which is super scary, but I am praying for the best because the quality is really good from BH Cosmetics. These palettes were like $9. Everything performed well. This beautiful lime metallic, beautiful all over the lid, beautiful inner corner. It had a deepening shade, and then like I said, I love the little limey pressed glitter in here. So this is another like mini palette that I would definitely pull. Then the next category is Monochromatic Palettes, and surprisingly ColourPop is not in this. Even though ColourPop is known for their little monochromatic palettes, I think these ones are even better. So the first two, which I don't think will be surprising because people raved about these palettes so much, but these are the Sweet Shop palettes from BH Cosmetics. The bubblegum one, it's blues. It's beautiful blues. Blues are some of my most favorite colors to use on the eyes besides greens and purples, and the quality was out of this world. I think this is even better than the other BH palettes when it comes to the formula. The mattes are pigmented, they're blendable. The blue metallics in here are beautiful. Like, this was mind-blowing. This is when people really started to discover how good BH Cosmetics formula got, and I thought they did so well with these. I'm surprised that they ended up discontinued these, and I don't think they're coming back with these. I think it was something with like they couldn't get the ingredients for the formula, which is so sad because they're so good. And then of course the Pistachio palette, which is the monochromatic green palette. These are also just as good. Everything in that Sweet Shop collection was amazing. And because I love to wear greens a lot, this had to be one of the top ones. So beautiful. It had such a good range. It had light pastel matte, it had a deep matte, it had various shimmers, mid-tones, deeper shimmers, lighter shimmers. Like, the range in here was really good too. So this was amazing. And then this one from Glamlight, which is my favorite one from the Happy Hour collection. It is the Dirty Martini palette. All of the olive shades that I would ever need, and I like that they sprinkled in some other kind of tones like the teals in here as well. And this is also just a beautiful mix, and it also has a brown, so if you want to like neutral it up, but overall it is a very olive green, more monochromatic palette. I thought the formula was really amazing. I think Glamlight has really good mattes, and they have beautiful little sparkly shimmers. So this one is another one that I loved when it comes to monochromatic palettes. Then the next category was top 3 affordable palettes. And this one was easy for me because I don't think I have a lot of affordable palettes, because I usually don't like shop drugstore palettes and other stuff like that. So I was able to immediately pick the top 3. But the first one for sure would be the ColourPop Lush Life palette. This blew my mind. I've also talked about this many times. I think this has such an amazing formula, and sometimes like it can be hit or miss with ColourPop, but this is like the good formula from ColourPop. And the shade range, because normally like they do overly neutral palettes with a few pops of color. This had a good color variation, and it had a good variation in the depth. And then it also had a good amount of dark colorful mattes that you don't usually see in ColourPop palettes as well. So this is like so good, and it is more on the affordable end. And I think this is still available. I hope it is, because ColourPop does discontinue palettes quite often. So hopefully it's there. I will make sure to link all the palettes that are still available in the description below. So definitely check that out. Then the next two are from BH Cosmetics. The Blueberry Muffin palette. This was so good. This blew people's minds and how good the formula was and how affordable it was. But it's all beautiful, cool tones, blue shades. It has neutrals in here. It also has a very good variation, so you don't only have to stick to blue. You can do more like cool tone neutral looks. Very, very good formula in this. Then the last one in this category is the Passion in Paris palette from BH Cosmetics. And I love this one even more than the Blueberry Muffin, and I didn't think that was possible, but I think the color story is even more me. It has a lot of deep colorful mattes in here, and it had a lot more variation. Like, you could go more on the red tones down here. You could go cool tone neutrals, purple, and it had this like emerald green matte. So I just like this. You could kind of make the look more green too. And of course, Formula is amazing, and this is affordable palette. And I think this is still available on BH Cosmetics website. And the last time I checked, a lot of these palettes are on like great discounts since they're like kind of transitioning right now. So definitely check that out. If you didn't pick it up, what are you waiting for? That palette is amazing. Then the next category was top 3 expensive palettes, and it would for sure be the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette, which I don't think they have this anymore. It was a limited edition palette. It stuck around for a while, but I think they finally like removed it and sold everything out. But this is such a good neutral palette. It's such a good fall palette. It has so much range in here. It has so many options. When I first saw them release this, I wasn't immediately attracted to the color story, but when I went in store and I swatched it and I looked at it, I was like, actually this is really beautiful. It has a lot of the cream to powder mattes. It has olivey shades. It has some like reddy tones, so I thought the options were really good. And this is like my favorite palette to pull out, especially in the fall time because of the color story. Then the next one would be the Natasha Denona Gold Palette, which I think they also discontinued, which I don't know why, because this is so good. This was one of the $100 palettes, but this is so good. I should have mentioned this as favorite neutral palettes in that video I did. I don't know why I didn't include this, but this has really beautiful mattes. I like the tones in here, and I think the metallic formula in here is some of the best from Natasha Denona, especially the shade right here called Trichrome. It has a green shift. So beautiful. Like every time I crack into this palette, I always want to use the shade. Then it has the mustardy tones. So this is a really good, more expensive palette, which I don't know why it doesn't exist anymore. And then the other one, I think this one also doesn't exist. All my favorite expensive palettes are no longer available, but this is the Muerte palette. People lost their mind from this palette, and I saw so many people had FOMO that they missed out on this palette. I am so happy I picked it up, and I'm so sad that it's gone. I wish they put this in their permanent range, but the packaging, stunning. Then the shades in here are stunning. These are some of the best mattes that Melt has ever done. The tones, the depth. I pull this a lot for the mattes. The shimmers are okay, but this is really good because of the mattes. They're so gorgeous. The tones, the shades, the options, the pigmentation, the blendability. I mean, I could go on about this palette, and I've talked about this one a lot. So all of my favorite expensive palettes are no longer available, so sorry that I'm raving about them. And then the last 3 categories, which are the ones that I added to the list because I just felt like these categories were needed. So the first one that I added was top matte palettes, and these are not all like fully matte palettes. They're just majority of mattes, and then I think 2 of them have few shimmers in them, but I use these for the mattes, and this wasn't very hard either because I don't have a lot of all matte palettes. But for sure it would be the Hauntingly Glamorous palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. This was the collab with Sydney Nicole Adams. This is a predominantly matte palette. I reach for this all the time to use with my shimmer palettes and like single shimmers because the tones, the shades, the options, the quality is absolutely stunning. And then it has 2 somewhat metallics. They're a little bit more satin, and they're more like inner corner highlights. So to me, this is really mainly just a matte palette with some highlight shades. So it's very good, and I think these shades are just interesting. I don't have a lot of palettes with these exact tones, so this is really good. It has some amazing beautiful red mattes too, which is really hard to find a good red matte. So that's one. Then the other one is also from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is the Capricorn palette, and this one is a truly all matte palette. These also have very interesting tones, shades, options. I also mentioned this in like favorite spring palettes because these are like the perfect shades for the springtime, and they're also really good quality, very soft, very blendable, very pigmented. So this is another one that I often pull now with my all shimmer palettes and my single shimmers when I'm just needing some colorful mattes. And then the last one is a new one to me, but I've been using this quite a bit. This is the Monochromatic Pastel Palette. This is predominantly mattes as well, except there's one shimmer in here that's a light iridescent blue shifty shimmer that is more like an inner corner highlight or topper. But the mattes in here are very nice, and because it's been springtime and because I've been really in love with putting pastel mattes in the inner corner, I have been reaching for this a lot, and this is just so good. I've talked about this as like a good recommendation if you're looking for pastel mattes in your collection. And I think Menagerie is doing a restock very soon, I think on April 9th. So hopefully they'll be restocking this palette if it's not, you know, in stock right now. But this is a very good one, and I'm so happy that I finally started playing with this. And then the next category, which I don't think will be surprising, is my top 3 all shimmer palettes. And I have collected a lot of all shimmer palettes recently, but right now these are the ones that I've been loving the most. So I picked palettes that only had shimmers in it. There are other palettes that are mainly shimmers that I didn't include because they had some mattes, but I could add so many other ones to this list. The first one would be the Break the Rose palette from It's Belle Cosmetics. Of course this would be in this category, okay? This is so good. I think this was 1 or 2 in like my palette ranking of all the palettes I tried last year. I've talked about it many times to you guys as well, and this is just stunning, and it's on the more affordable side for amazing metallics. And I'm sure like I'm making you sick. If you watch a lot of my videos, you've seen this palette many times. So of course this would be in my top shimmers. The next palette is the Plain Jane palette from Adept Cosmetics. Now I could add the other Adept palettes because I love all of them, but those had matte, so I just stuck to this one. But this is so beautiful. These shimmers are stunning. I've swatched these many times. I talked about this being also a good spring palette, so this is really good. And then the last one, which is a newfound love, is also from It's Belle Cosmetics. This is the Flare Collection Remix palette. I've been using this a lot since we're getting into spring, and I've been using a lot more pastel palettes and stuff. And this is just stunning. They killed it again. It's Belle Cosmetics came out with more amazing metallics, and I'm so happy I have this in my collection. So this is also a very stunning all shimmer palette. Then the last category is pastel palettes, which I had to include in this video. And I feel like I've been talking about pastels a lot lately because, you know, we're going into the spring season and I'm very excited about it. And a lot of brands start coming out with pastel palettes during this time of the year. And I just did a review on the Natasha Denona Pastel Palette, which I'll link below. I'll put it up in the corner. But spoiler alert, the 3 palettes I'm about to mention, I think are better than that palette. So the first one would be for sure the Give Me Glow Pastel Dreams palette. Like, this had to be here. This is a really good all pastel mattes and all pastel shimmers. Really good accent palette, or if you want to just do a super light pastel look, I also did a video on this and review. If you want to check it out, I will link it below. But the quality is amazing, and I think it's just so good. It's such a good pastel palette. Like, if you're looking for pastels, that is definitely a hit. Then the next one, which is a more affordable option, this is the Lost in Los Angeles palette from BH Cosmetics. This one I did do a look with on my channel, and I was just blown away at the quality of this. And I think this is actually on sale on BH Cosmetics website, so you can get it for even cheaper, which is so crazy that it's so good but so affordable. Very pigmented pastels, they work really well. Beautiful pastel shimmers. So this is also a really good one. Then the last palette that I wanted to mention, which I don't think is available anymore, but I had to mention it. This is the No Man Cosmetics Tokyo palette. Now I didn't mention this in my recent spring palette video because I mentioned this last year and I didn't want to repeat myself, but this is so good. And these are all just beautiful pastels, and it does have a deeper shade if you want to deepen it up. And these pastels are more sheer, but they are buildable, and they're so soft and blendable and like buttery. And then the metallics in here are so pretty and sparkly, especially this Moshi Moshi shade, which is one of my favorites in the palette. So this was also a really good pastel palette. But those were all the categories and all the palettes that I wanted to mention. I'm starting to get tired because I've been talking for a while, and every time I talk too much, my voice starts to get like all scratchy and raspy, which is not sexy. But that was all the palettes that I wanted to mention in every category. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, but you will have to let me know in the comments below what palettes would you put in each of these categories. I would love to hear your thoughts and everything. Also, if you did enjoy this video and you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, you love to see videos about palettes, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I'd love to have you here. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will link all the palettes that are still available. I will link other videos of mine you might be interested in watching. I will also link the makeup that I'm wearing, which I actually did film this look. I am doing a review on the by Beauty Bay new palettes that they came out with. So definitely check out for that. That will probably come up after this video. I will also have my contact info and my social media platforms if you want to check me out on Instagram. I am Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_Beauty over there. So I would love for you to join my Instagram fam. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video and being here and supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. But I do hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. And I'm just sending you all so much love and light. But until next time, bye guys.